Hi, Craig here. Today I am going to talk about the fourth generation of injectors in the common rail fuel system, and it is called the hydraulically amplified diesel injection, or more commonly known as HADIS. This is the CRS4, fourth generation of the Bosch injectors, and I'm going to explain to you how they work. So I'm going to bring the camera up really close here so we can get a good picture of this injector, because it's difficult to see. Make sure I have the right one. I don't. There we go. Okay, so that gives us a better idea of this injector. So, as I said, this is the CRS4, fourth generation. This is the injector that's going to be used, or is used, in DD series, Detroit diesel engines. And this is the application. So this is a high pressure common rail injector. And you can see here from the rail, and actually there's lines here, so there isn't truly a rail anymore. The fuel comes in at about 18,750 PSI, and it comes into this area. Now, the way this valve, or this fuel injector works, is it's got two valves. The ACV valve, which is the amplified control valve, which is right up here. And then you got your needle solenoid valve. Now this is the needle solenoid valve. This is the one that acts like the generation CRS 1, 2, 3 injectors. They kind of run similarly in the fact that they're a balanced valve. You've got hydraulic pressure on the bottom of it and the top of it, and that keeps it closed in the no injection. When we want to take an injection or have an injection, we bleed the fuel off the top of this valve, and it bleeds into the drainage fuel, allowing this to lift up and injection to take place. Now that's at 18,750 PSI. This, I'd hate to use the word two-stage, but this injector can multiply at 2 to 1 the pressures through this area here. This is a 2 to 1 amplifier, and you can kind of see the 2 to 1 area right here. So what's going to happen is fuel is coming in the no injection point, coming up, going around this injector. It's normally in this position, so fuel will go through it, and it will come down and fill this area. Now this area, once it's full, this ball is closed. When that ball is forced up, it's closed. Later on, when injection takes place, the pressure will drop in here, and that ball can drop down and replenish the fuel in here. Now this fuel's at just about 1900. I think that's what we'll call it for now and make it easier. So we got fuel here available, and it goes right down here around the bottom of the injector, and it's available. The only thing we need to do is have the computer tell the servo hydraulic solenoid to bleed this fuel off right here. And when it does that, injection will take place. When we want injection to stop, it will it'll release that valve electrically, and that valve will close. Pressure will be equal on both sides and no more injection. So how does the amplifier work? Well, I'm going to bring us over to the next picture and try to explain the amplification here. So we can see in this picture, as opposed to the other picture, this valve is now open, and no fuel is going through this valve anymore. In fact, it's opened up the fuel that was there to the drain port. And now you can see, if you follow it down, there is no high pressure fuel in here, just drainage fuel. That being said, the fuel now has 19,000 pounds of pressure here, with no fuel in here at all. So this piston, this whole piston assembly starts to push down. And it pushes down, this ball closes, and it traps that fuel in there. This is a 2 to 1 intensifier piston, so the pressure in there doubles from 1,870 to 37,500 PSI. And 1875 is pushing this piston down, it multiplies it here. That is now available at the injector. Now the NCV will act normally. The NCV is always controlling the fuel that's coming out of this injector. So we will, once again, the computer will signal the servo solenoid, and it will bleed the fuel off the top of the injector, lifting up the injector, and now we're getting a 37,500 injection. So this is considered a two-stage injection. A friend of mine the other day said to me, he said, this fuel injection looks like hydraulics, and it is hydraulics. We're balancing pressures. We're balancing pressures in this area. We're balancing pressures in this area with the two valves, and we're controlling the injection. Now, the H13 injector can also have the coaxial, and if you remember from earlier videos, the coaxial injector had multiple spray holes. So at 18,750 psi, we could use the top holes and make our injection. And as we needed higher injection rates, this would be lifted harder, lifted further, and higher pressures would come down to the lower end of the injection nozzle. So again, really giving you that opportunity to adjust rate shaping or control the injection to get exactly what we need when we need it. So I hope you found this helpful. This is the fourth injector I'm talking about. It's the 4th generation of injectors. And once again, we use it in the Detroit Diesel series. I hope you found this helpful. I hope it explains how this injector works.